if you haven't figured it out by now, Shiva and I like to cosplay. And we also like to cosplay with other people. And when you're getting ready for a convention that's several months down the road and you want to have an epic group together, you have to prepare for it.
Yeah, and there's several different ways to do that. One of the things that we have found is very helpful is to use some kind of social media to organize the group so you can stay in touch with all your members and get organized. Facebook's a good option, or LiveJournal used to work more back in the day. Not too many people do anymore, but there's a lot of other options as well.
Yeah, what's great about Facebook is it's a good way to send a message to everybody, post pictures with reference pictures, post links with places you can buy things. So it's a good hub where you can post all the information needed.
Yeah, you can keep a cast list, you can organize a time, so everyone knows what their schedule is and what's expected of them ahead of time.
Now when you have a group together and the costumes are pretty similar, you want things to be cohesive. You want things to look the same, like the same seamstress made everything, which probably will not be happening.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. So you want to try and use the same materials as possible. Shiva and I did a Sailor Moon group last year, and all the Sailor soldiers use the same types of fabrics for their skirts and things like that, so that it looks similar because the costumes are so similar.
Or some detail, like for instance, Sailor Scouts, we all decided we wanted like transparent sleeves as opposed to opaque, or some little detail about the costume where everyone has to kind of look the same so it looks like you planned it. That always helps to bring the group together. For some groups where the costumes aren't similar at all, it's less important, but for school uniforms, Sailor Scouts, it usually looks really nice.
Yeah, but you want to use the same type of materials. You don't want, even if they're different, one person showing up in a completely different material, like a very shiny satin, or a very like hard twill when it's supposed to be somewhere in the middle. So you want people to, be the same. That way it looks really great. Because if you have, Full Metal Alchemist, the military, I can't remember exactly.
The uniforms,
yeah. You don't want different shades of blue. It would look so much cooler if everyone got this from the same bolt of fabric, if they could, and had the same color of blue, because that looks really cool.
Well, for something like that, you can go to a store like Joann's and write down the serial number. It doesn't like everyone has to go together and actually physically make them together, but if you can communicate things like where you bought it, what type of fabric it is, what the number is, you can get the same thing going on. And sometimes to kind of tie into that is that if you want to kind of share skills among the group, so if someone's really good at, let's say, resin casting, and they want to make, you all need a certain item and it also look the same, they might volunteer to make that one item for everybody.
Yeah, and that way that person can order the resin in bulk, because sometimes when you order resin you need to order a bunch of it, and it's just sitting there. That way they can use the product to its best financial purpose. And that also works with, say, buying a big order of shoes. Like if it's 12 people and you're all ordering the same shoes, contact the distributor and say, hey, I need a dozen of these shoes, or I need a dozen of this type of wig, can you help me out at all? And some places you will see right up front that there's bulk discount pricing. Sometimes there won't be, but it can help you with the bottom line, because costume making can be expensive.
Or at the very least save on shipping if you're all sending it to one place.
Yeah, and if someone isn't really good at sewing, but they can make like killer props, have them be your prop person, and while they make your prop, sew their skirt for them or style their wig for them. Do what your strength is. And this works really well if everyone's close by, that they can, share items. But it can work if you communicate really well, if people are all across the country.
Yeah, you can share techniques online. You can share progress pictures. In some cases, if everyone's making the same item, they put a little video up of how we did it, or put up a pattern that everyone can use. And so you're going to get close. I mean, nobody's perfect. We're not professional seamstresses, but you can try to achieve a goal of similarity.
Yeah, and I know like it's kind of a small detail, but if you're all wearing scroll uniforms, it helps to make sure your pleats are all going the same way if they're knife pleats. So like say, okay, which way are our knife pleats going? Because if one was going one way, if one person's is going the other way than the rest of the group, it looks a little funny. I know you're probably like, who cares? But if you're walking by a group, and I don't know, I tend to notice silly things like that. But if you encourage people to post progress pictures. It also helps people stay on top of the deadline of the convention.
And get inspired. I mean, if people see what other people have done, they get excited. They want to go back to work on theirs. And you also want to kind of help people if they get behind, give them advice, encourage them, you know, kind of be each other's support system. But at the same time, if something happens, and something always does, you can't really get mad if someone can't do it or they have to drop out.
Real life is more important than cosplay.
That's right, and it always happens. People get a job, things happen, you know, things happen. And you have to kind of accept that. If you are also the person who the thing happens to, you just want to make sure you're really upfront with the group, tell them as soon as you know, just to give them some fair warning.
Yeah, don't let this ruin friendships. That's stupid.
It is really stupid.
Now, what we've really liked from doing these groups in the past is our friends have invited people we don't know, and then we've become friends with them, which is really cool. But if you need a complete group, like if you want an entire group of sailor soldiers, or if you want like all of the cast of a certain thing, and you know, it would suck if one person wasn't there, don't rely on a total stranger that you met on cosplay.com or another cosplay website, because you don't know them and they might be totally unreliable. But if you just want a group for fun, then it's totally worth, you know, going to a place like that and saying, hey, does anyone have a Chrono Trigger costume and they want to join us?
Right. But otherwise, it's good to have at least somebody in the group know that person and they can vouch for them.
Yeah, and that way you make new friends, and making friends through cosplay is awesome.
Yes, it is.